We started leaning towards custom design, quality code base, quality custom content, work in the Google account,
Consistent updates and work on the site,
blogging,
all the stuff we do.
better and better quality content that just doesn't shove in keywords, so there's LSIs.
More natural,
Latent
valuable
semantic
content.
indexing
Yeah,
and-
that.
Yeah, and
The new one, topical authority, which
topical
is
authority.
our SEO expert analyst on staff is teaching us.
So these are
handling them
white hat
slightly.
things, right?
Right.
Yeah,
All
we're-
that's white hat.
This is all white hat stuff that's now being done, and all that's done now. There's still, and we're going to be pretty opaque here, not discuss it with everyone, right? Because it's stuff that, but if there's gray hat stuff that can be done, the problem with the problem with a black hat item is that it's like a permanent wound, and there's evidence trail. Hey there, guys. It's Nolan and Jason here.
Howdy.
Got a pretty good topic today, I think.
Yep.
Black hat, white hat, gray hat. Sounds like, and I said
It sounds like Dr. Seuss.
Sounds like Dr. Seuss. Big hat, small hat, medium hat. But anyway, it's like if you've ever heard of people refer to black hat SEO tactics or white hat, black hat being something completely against Google's rules.
It's classic Western bad guy.
Yeah,
And white hat is the good guy.
Yeah, it is. You know what? I never even put.
You never even put that together?
Think about it, man. That's all. I don't think about it. It's just like a definition of something.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what it means.
Yeah. So and then we talk, and you have people mentioning gray area or gray hat.
Right.
So something that is not something that the algorithm probably want done, but not something.
But something they haven't yet forbidden.
Something they haven't forbidden, or something that doesn't leave a permanent mark.
Right. Most of the time, when any SEO company is doing gray hat, they kind of know they probably shouldn't do it.
Right.
And they know that it's going to get shut down eventually, but it's working right now, so
And
why not?
sometimes, unfortunately, if all these people are doing this stuff, then what you're supposed to do. So,
Yeah. Sometimes all your competitors are doing it, and you they're all of a sudden taking your ranking, and you kind of don't have a choice.
Yeah, I think a lot of times it'd be nice if we could be like I'd say overall we're like 95% Boy Scout.
Yeah. And we used to be 100%, and then we had to kind of.
There's some stuff.
bend
There's
the
some
rules
unfortunate
occasionally.
things that the algorithm can't always check,
Right.
and we can't even really go into, like, we're not going to go into full detail about all of this stuff, but let's discuss like old black hat stuff. So, do you remember the two guys' names? What are the names of the Google guys? Sergey and something.
I used to know this, and it just flew out of my head. The guys that started Google, doesn't matter what.
So
their
when
names
they
are.
started it, it stand for.
Doesn't matter what your name is.
What is that from?
That's The Rock.
Oh, The Rock.
From 90s Attitude Era WWE.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what your name is. Anyway.
So back in the day, they had exploited this little tactic that if somebody had a lot of inbound links to their site, they must be popular for that.
Yeah. Which was originally the entire Google algorithm
That was
was
it.
inbound links. That was the whole ranking factor.
So I can imagine when the code got written, it was like that much. Right?
Yeah, it was like a page.
A little page of code, and the algorithm was born, and it was better than Alta Vista, or who was
Alta
it?
Vista, Yahoo.
No, I
Um,
don't remember. It was somebody else. Somebody else was going, but anyway, it was better than.
There was
that.
a few,
It was
yeah.
better than the other people's, but pretty quickly as it got popular, it was like people were like, "Hey, if we inbound link, we go to number one."
Right.
We go up in ranking, and the more we get, the higher we go. Well, you can imagine that they're frantically trying to increase the amount of code to make the web better. But how do you do that when you go from like two dudes sitting in a dorm room
To the most popular search engine
to the
on
most
Earth.
popular search engine in the world, and then you need
Like that. Yeah.
Then you need millions of lines of code
Right.
all of a sudden. So basically, they weren't able to fix this for like eons.
Yeah,
right?
it took them years
Like
before they
almost-
could actually
When did it
introduce.
start? Do you even know the start date?
Of Google?
Yeah.
Wasn't it like 2001?
So I
or
know
something
that
like
because they didn't really totally fix this part of it until 2012 or 13. So we're talking like
Over a decade.
a decade. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so essentially, the search engine of Google could be gamed horribly for like 10 years.
Right.
And they would come out and shake and say, "Hey, don't do this. It's against our rules."
But the algorithm couldn't actually correct for it yet,
Right.
so people did it anyway. And you would have like a local service business with 400,000 inbound links,
Yeah, that's funny.
and a link became like this. It was like the weirdest sort of study of inflation ever.
Yeah.
Because it was like a Deutschmark prior to World War II. It was just like an individual link became utterly worthless, and you needed hundreds of thousands of them to move the needle at all.
I'm going to try not to talk over you as much since
Nolan got a call, and I've got to tell this
I
story.
get reprimanded.
Nolan got a call from a potential client who said, "Hey, Nolan," gave his name and phone number. "Watch some of your podcasts. You need to let Jason talk more. You talk over him too much. And by the way, sir, you are a genius."
His name is Dennis, by the way. If Dennis happens to watch one of these, it was really funny stuff. He's a funny guy.
I appreciate you.
I know you would. I know you would. Jason would like to buy you lunch sometime soon and talk about.
One of my
invent-
employees ran into my office when they heard me laughing.
Oh
Because
yeah.
you sent that, and I played it, and I just started like bellowing, laughing, and someone ran in. "What the hell? I'm fine. I'm fine."
It was funny, but anyway, so they wrote this code and they fixed this problem, right?
That problem.
That problem. So these people, and it was called Penguin algorithm,
Right.
and it's like, hey, and I gotta tell you something. All the way to that time, we were already in business. We vowed, you remember, not to do any of that stuff. I just flat out by the rules, no matter what, and overall we turned out like roses on that deal, because when it went belly up on everybody doing this bad stuff,
When everybody who had used all these inflated links and link
they all
wheels and
went
all
out of
this other
business.
crap,
Yeah.
they disappeared off the Google front page, and all our stuff was still okay.
We actually went up significantly and had done all this. So we had quality measures that were in place, and we were working on the quality work. And so when the algorithm continually during, there's a period around 2012, 13, 14 where people got shook up, and I would really argue that about half or more of all SEO companies at the time disappeared.
Yeah.
Because all their customers disappeared off search engines and they quit paying them.
Right.
So we were sitting there doing quality stuff, quality content, quality design, quality code base, quality, hand work on stuff, and lots of it. And our client side did real well. I guess the thing that sucks about all of it is that if you didn't do this, you just wouldn't show up very well in search rankings. We were, I guess, kind of like around the time we started business, 2011, I think, ish. And that was right before the algorithm changed. We were not participating in these links, but I think the algorithm was already starting to be able to grade some stuff. So preliminarily, our stuff was doing better.
They released the update, and it made a couple of passes, and things started to correct a little bit. And I think they were kind of sounding an alarm on people, like, this is about to happen,
It's
and
about
you
to
should
go.
Right.
Right.
And people didn't, and they said, "Okay, we're done," and they
So
cranked it up.
This is a prelude for the conclusion later in this podcast.
Right.
But so we learned proper practices, so we weren't devastated during this.
Right.
During this.
I mean, during that first few years after that, a huge portion of the clients we got, in addition to all the other good work we had to do, we had to do link disavowing. That was a huge deal for a long time.
Man, it took us like almost a year to figure it out, because there's all these programs that had been built up. So all these people had gotten. Let me go back and what were we before that? I went to go over link disavow. That's a really good topic, though. As far as Google's algorithm being able to judge stuff, before they even did this, they were starting to see quality work like we did. So our sites were doing pretty good, even without basically black hat linking.
Right.
So come 2012, it's almost like they turned the heat up on a gas burner and went boom, boom,
Yeah, it's like they flipped the
boom,
lever.
boom, and then they went like medium heat. And then in 2013, they went, screw y'all, full charge.
Yeah, turned all
And
the
then
way up.
everybody just went and fell like cars, like people just disappeared all over the place. And so I would call it turning up the heat on the algorithm. So they had, at that point, they'd spent a decade getting ready, telling people not to do it. Everybody did it anyway, but I feel bad for everybody though, really, because It'd be great if everybody didn't do it.
Yeah, they said don't do it, but
If you didn't
your
do it.
competition was going to do it,
Right.
and if you didn't do it, you were screwed.
So had we started the business in 2008,
We'd have been
we
doing
would
that.
have had to have done that.
There was no other choice.
in
Yeah.
order to keep our clients up. But we started in 2011, we didn't do it, and a couple of years later, when the ball dropped, luckily we had spent all of our time doing proper practices, and we went forward. I will tell you, it was difficult financially because we had to hire even more people and hire grade level people, right?
Right.
And to
You used to be able to run an SEO firm with like 3 people.
Yeah. You throw links out to India.
Yeah.
You get on a freelancer site and say, "Hey, do all this crappy work for me." They're like, "Thank you.
No
You know,
problem.
I will eat tonight." So, I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to say stuff like that. It's not horribly inappropriate, is it? Like,
Yeah,
right?
it kind of is.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Do people from a developing nation take offense to that? dude?
Probably. Yeah.
Why? They have such economic opportunity. You know? What is this with developing right now, man? You know, making SEO money, and they're
Anyway.
So Disavow came about, and so everybody had done this. Google could have been like, okay, we understand. We didn't have the algorithm working properly, and we're not going to be petty and bitter.
But they were.
But they were.
They, for at least 2 years, it was at least 2 years before
At
they
least 2
eased up.
years.
And they would punish you for those bad links, and that's when the companies who used to sell you the links then would charge you a fee to remove them.
I don't blame the people who did the links for you would then charge you to remove it.
Right.
And I don't really blame them for being bitter
Yeah.
and retaliatory.
Yeah.
I think,
Because they said don't do this.
yeah.
So, yeah.
However, had you not done it for a long time, you just didn't do as well in rankings.
Right.
And even major national brands did this and would get pinched for it
Yeah.
all the time. So who was it that had? Who was it that? Oh God, I've only got one bar left here on this already.
Oh, me too.
Who was it that basically cut deals with EDU sites like colleges to give a discount? Sorry, guys, to give a discount if they put a link back.
I don't even
I think it
remember.
might have been JCPenney.
Really?
Yeah, and Google, and they blow up online because they were getting colleges to link back off of EDUs
Yeah.
to get the discounts and getting them put up on a.
And the EDU links were considered
Huge crap.
they were given more weight
Huge weight.
because because they were academic. They were considered to be authorities, and so they had weight.
They
and-
shot
yeah.
up in search rankings, and then Google like temporarily banned them, but Google couldn't ban them long term. This could dovetail into some conclusion stuff too because they're a branded company.
Right.
So created all this trouble, but they were mad about it because they couldn't fix this problem in the algorithm. Presumably, this is all conjecture, but it's seemingly pretty obvious that you had to hire 100 programmers to program for 10 years to fix the problem because you go from a short amount of code to like you need to judge the whole universe of everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And instead of one factor, all of a sudden you've got 1,000 factors to
Right.
test for.
Right. So we learned how to do disavow. Took a while, and that was a process saying, hey, here's all this stuff. Because you could go back and say, hey, Google, please ignore these. I'm sorry, they're on all these goofy Indian sites and Romanian sites and Philippine sites, and I can't get this crap off of here. I mean, dang it. These people who did it don't get paid for this. Like, they're not going to go fix it. So just please don't. Said, no, we'll ignore it. But we're going to shove your nose in the pile of poo in the middle of the floor before we get over this. We can be friends again, but you're going to have to do your penance.
You're going to have to eat crap for about 6 months.
Yeah, you got to do your penance for
Yeah.
it, right? And so they go and do this, and then they get a whole list on a spreadsheet, and they, we emailed all these sorry people. I didn't know they were doing this. I paid this web firm, and they did dirty stuff. I didn't know. And I know damn well people call and ask for it directly, right?
Oh yeah, they call us. We just want some backlinks. I heard I need backlinks.
Backlinks, don't care where they come from. Yeah. So then Google will have you put it on a spreadsheet and go, here you go. Hey, I'm sorry.
Please.
Yeah, please let me back in the door. And they'll be like, okay, you've learned your lesson. Don't do it again. And then you send in your disavow file, and if you did it properly enough, then they couldn't get rid of the links because they still exist on the web until they all fall off, but they would ignore them.
Yeah.
And so from that time forward, I mean, shoot, for like 2 or 3 more years, what does everybody want? Links anyway, because they don't know what the hell's going on.
Right.
Yeah. So
It's
everybody.
like, no, you don't want to do that. It's a bad idea.
We started leaning towards custom design, quality code base, quality custom content, work in the Google account, you know.
Consistent updates and work on the site.
Blogging.
All the stuff we do.
Better and better quality content that just doesn't shove in keywords. So there's LSIs.
More natural,
Latent
valuable
semantic
content.
indexing.
Yeah,
and-
that.
Yeah. And
The new one, Topical Authority, which
topical
is
authority.
our SEO expert analyst on staff is teaching us.
So these are
Hammering on
white hat
slightly.
things, right?
Right.
Yeah,
All that's white hat.
This is all white hat stuff that's now being done, and all that's done now. There's still, and we're going to be pretty opaque here, not discuss it with everyone, right? Because it's stuff that, but if there's gray hat stuff that can be done, the problem with the problem with a black hat item is that it's like a permanent wound, and there's evidence trail.
Yeah, and black hat usually is something that Google absolutely forbids. There's no wiggle room, and if they realize you're doing it, you're screwed.
Yeah, yeah. They'll pull your account, pull your Google account, pull your GMB. White hat stuff is just peachy. It's fine.
It's what
there's
they
nothing at
want.
all. And gray hat might be somewhere in between there, where it might not leave a permanent mark, but it's something that maybe you shouldn't be doing entirely. Here's the issue with the algorithm in its entirety is that if you don't do some of the gray hat stuff, you might not be competitive on everything as much, I guess.
Right.
But ultimately, I will say with 95% surety that you can perform nothing but white hat items and dominate.
Yeah.
There's a hole here and there to where the algorithm hiccups and it misses something, and unscrupulous individuals
Figure it out. All of SEO is basically an arms race between people like us
doing
and
quality
Google.
work. Yeah.
And Google's trying to improve the algorithm and make it do things, and it's not really us. It's other people who usually figure this stuff
It's
out.
not people like us are not like people like them.
Yeah.
It's those people.
I
not
meant
us.
SEO people, not necessarily.
But we're a
us.
digital marketing agency that does high quality skilled work. We
Right.
actually work in tandem with Google to make the web a better place.
Right.
And we make websites that make it better for our client's client and ultimately Google's client.
Right.
So ultimately, we're the Boy Scouts that they want. It's just that there's a lot of bad people that will game it. And if you're from a developing nation and you have no resources and some American money for some SEO would change your life, well, you don't give a crap
Well, exactly.
if you perform some black hat stuff or gray hat stuff, you know? So those people do anything to game the search, and they don't have the resources to go in and do custom design and custom code base. What are you calling this? My gratuitous plug for everything we do?
Yeah.
Custom design, custom code base, over 100
The
points of
list.
schema,
The list.
blogging, on-site changes, citations, working Google My Business account, and of course our proprietary plugin, Righteous Reviews, which is a complete reputation management system, not to mention an enhancement of your organic optimization.
Right.
So they can't do all that.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? So what am I going to do? By God, I was born in this wretched place, and I got some skill sets, but not enough, and I want to get ahead. Is that bad to say, Jason?
Yeah, saying it's wretched is pretty bad.
I'm sorry. You know, what's wrong with that?
Moving on.
Moving on.
No, but what you have is
USA.
anytime Google does anything with the algorithm, whether they're fixing something or adding an improvement or just deciding that they're going to give more weight to some factor or whatever, there's an army of unscrupulous people who are trying to find holes and blind spots in the algorithm to exploit.
In defense of somebody from another country, there are also some unscrupulous Americans as well.
I wasn't even referring to people from other countries. A lot of them are American.
Yeah, a lot of. You're such a
and
politically correct.
they figure out, oh, well, Google made this change that now looks at this thing, but if we do this weird thing over here, all of a sudden stuff shoots up in rankings without having to do a lot of hard work. And then
So this is coming to our conclusion of the deal, right? So if you do all these things and you get up and you're like, Eureka,
I'm king of the hill.
I fooled them. These guys from America or this developing nation did some really horrible work, and I found the right guys.
Right.
I got around the system.
Yeah, I beat the system.
Google's going to fix the problem.
They will plug every hole.
They will plug it eventually. If you're doing a black hat item or a gray hat item, the gray hat item is still bad because even though it may not leave a permanent scar on you, you have built no foundation for optimization for what was supposed to have been done in the first place.
Is all you do is some gray hat tricks. When that gets plugged, everything comes crashing down because you have no real structure.
Cards.
Right.
So that's you could do black hat, you could do gray hat, you could get going, and then you lose everything.
Right.
You have no stable base. You didn't get reviews. You didn't go work on reputation. You have poor content. You have a template design. You have poor code base. You basically don't do anything, and you don't care. Your site's bad, and you paid somebody, and you look up, and that's what happens. And the site will go down and get pinched eventually.
But you look, and it's for a while it's top ranked, and you're getting leads and phone calls, and you think, hey, I beat the system. I'm good. And then Google releases the quarterly update, and your site disappears from search, and all of a sudden, holy crap! What do I do? Those web people screwed me over.
I'm going to point the finger at the client or for the other company.
Yeah,
you have culpability on this.
Right.
You do.
Right.
You can't sit there and just plug your ears and say ignorance of all online marketing. You know, it's no excuse at this point in time if you haven't bothered to learn any of it and go, oh, maybe I should get reviews and use the righteous reviews check-in system so I can wrap properly coded schema into a geo-targeted pin on my website and take a photo. Booyah! Right? It's good stuff, right?
That was a nice little spiel.
Yeah,
there.
so maybe I should do that. Maybe I should get content. Maybe I should pay just a little bit more instead of getting my micro brew 6-pack. You know, I'll switch back to Natty Light. Or Mickey's Big Mouth if you're in big trouble. Nobody wants the second run barley. It's all soapy looking, you know, right? You don't have to buy the first run stuff all the time.
Right.
Invest in your marketing, man. You know, you don't have to eat the
expensive marketing. Yeah. Cheap beer.
Get the Angus or the Select.
Yeah.
Bypass the choice and the Prime.
There you go.
Get some marketing, and then you can get the website up. Then you can go buy all the Prime beef you want.
And the reason for that is you can have. Let's say that you hired the webmasters. Let's say you were smart and you hired the webmasters.
I like this.
And we did all the things we do, the big list, which he can say now if he wants. Yeah. And your site is growing and ranking, it's doing well, and some competitor of yours that has a crap website all of a sudden shoots above you in ranking. And you call us and you say, this guy, he hasn't done any of this stuff and he's beating me. You guys said that we had to do all this stuff for this to work. And it's like, okay, you do, but let's look at it. We might find out that this guy, and we can tell, by the way, we can look at a whole bunch of factors, and we can say, oh, we're pretty sure this guy's using this trick, and that will help him jump the line.
We actually currently know people doing stuff, so you know, there's a temporary little problem, and it's been exploited a little bit. That's how this whole conversation came
that's how this started. And then we say, okay, we'll do that for you to make up the difference with what this guy's doing. We don't like doing this, but we understand your needs right now. Your competitor's beating you out with dirty tricks, so we'll use a little bit of that to make sure you don't lose out. But then 6 months later, Google closes that hole. They figure it out. Because if we can figure it out, the few of us in this office, believe me, Google knows, and they're just trying to figure out how to fix it.
Or it's not important yet.
Yeah, or it's not important enough.
It hasn't reached a critical mass to where it's important yet.
But when it gets important, they're going to close that hole, and all of a sudden your competitor with the crap website, he's going to fall quick. And because you have a good web effort,
hey, Jason, how'd you like to be in a market with a house of cards site that has no structural base, build up your business and have infrastructure and overhead, and then
Your phone is ringing a lot today.
and then lose everything because you're sloppy.
Because you wanted to save $500 a month on your
Because you want to
marketing.
save $500 a month.
Yeah.
Hey, is this a Geico commercial? Hey, I just saved $500 a month on my SEO work.
On my SEO. And then I went out of business.
I went to these gray hat bastards down in this other country, and
Yeah.
everything's great.
Wretched country.
Wretched. That's like a Trump comment. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it is.
It's like, I apologize. I apologize. I'm sorry. What was that from? I can't remember.
I don't know what you're talking about. He's a little loopy today.
I am.
He's been on the phone.
It's been a long week, man.
It's only Tuesday.
It's been good. It's Tuesday, man. It's been great. You still get a Red Bar?
Just barely.
Just
We
barely.
can finish out.
Man, though, I tell you what, though, by God, we're good at it. I am good. I'm pleased with everything. I do feel more comfortable with the business these days. We've worked hard to do everything we've done.
Right.
We really need to do one on our internal proprietary software and stuff too.
Yeah.
'Cause
We have a lot of really talented people here. We do really good work. We have hundreds of very happy clients.
we do that are all month to month and stay of their own
Right.
recording.
Yeah, none of that. Nobody in our client portfolio is on a term. Every one of them can leave
At any time.
anytime they want. They can call us and say, "I hate you now. I'm gone."
So it'd be really scary for us to build it on,
On nothing.
on nothing.
Yeah.
Right? So, gosh, I'm sorry, guys. I know I am popular sometimes. I don't know who's calling, but a little bit in my own mind. I'm already there, man. All right, guys. Well, we'd love to hear from you. I know this kind of danced around. We kind of didn't go into some of this stuff as much because we're not gonna put out.
We don't want to spread what the
We're
dirty
not
tricks are
spreading
around.
poor practices around,
Yeah,
and
we don't want to talk about that.
We don't partake in this stuff, and we do quality, skilled work so that a client can get up in search rankings and stay there and not have to worry about it. So it's the worst thing to have happen is somebody pulling black hat stuff.
Yeah.
And you don't
Stay
even
away
know.
from black hat. Stick with white hat. Do a little gray hat if you absolutely have to, but do as little as you can.
Yeah. I don't know if I can condone that, man. But we'll see. That makes me slightly uncomfortable. We'll stop there. All right. On that note, call us. We are very skilled and knowledgeable of many things and would like to help you out.
Take it
See
easy.
you later.